Hello, children. Hope you all are doing good. Welcome back again to the second session. That's a sexual reproduction in organisms. So, yesterday we have discussed about asexual reproduction. Now, coming to the sexual reproduction, children, it involves two parents, male and female parents, and the formation of gametes. It is followed by formation of gametes, and then the gametes will fuse by the process of fertilization to form the zygote. Whereas in asexual reproduction, we did not see any of these processes. So, here the offsprings, if you observe, are they exactly identical to the parent? As you have seen the clones in asexual reproduction? Certainly not. Because here the gametes, why there is a difference from the parent, why they are not exact copies, means you have to answer because the two parents are involved here and there is a fusion of gametes formed from two different parents. That is what is creating the variations, which are definitely an advantage for survival. Children, you have learned about coming back to the phases of life. If you remember, what are the phases of life? Yesterday we have seen the lifespan from birth to death. So the phases of life, when you say the birth, and then that is only called a juvenile or vegetative phase, which is a growth phase, followed by reproductive phase, and then it is followed by senescence. So, coming to the juvenile phase or vegetative phase, what happens during this phase? It's a growth phase. In the growth phase, suppose if you observe the plants, plants will be growing slowly, the small seedling will be growing into a plant. After that, what you observe is the buds and all will be coming, and the buds will blossom into flowers. The formation of flower, when the plant reaches to the formation of flowers, then we can call it has reached the reproductive phase. Why, children, we call it as the reproductive phase? Because the flower is the sexually reproducing part. It helps in sexual reproduction. So the flowering will be, you might be seeing some of the plants will be flowering seasonally. In different seasons they will flower. And some will be regularly, like hibiscus and all. You can see daily the flowers every season or throughout the year you can see the hibiscus. So, for example, if you see a marigold or rice plant or wheat plant, if you compare, they will be within 3 months of the growth. When they reach 3 months of the age, then they start producing flowers. Whereas a coconut plant, if you see, it will take some 8 to 10 years. If it is a dwarf variety, nowadays we are seeing children dwarf varieties, it will be of around 5 to 7 years. And some plants, the flowering occurs more than one time. Once they produce the flowers and again they stop. No flowers will be seen in that. Again after certain period, again they start flowering. So in between you may get a doubt. What should we call it? The middle phase. After juvenile phase, the flower, they reach reproductive phase. And again after some time, again they stop, again they produce flowers. That intermediate phase is also, we can call it as the juvenile or vegetative phase because it will be growing. So, is it understood? Is it clear, children? Then, coming to the flowering plants can be classified into three types. One is annual, biennial, and perennial. What is annual, biennial, and perennial? The name itself, children, you can understand. Annual, only very short-lived plant. The entire life cycle of the plant will be completed in one growing season. Coming to the like tomato, capsicum, radish and all that, you can see they can complete within one growing season. Biennial, they complete their life cycle in 2 seasons. That means they are also a short lifespan. Like a carrot and all will be biennial. And coming to the perennial, they live for more than 2 years. They'll be completing, and they are herbaceous plants like rose and all that. You can see perennial plants. So this is about, and if you observe the annual and biennial plants, you can easily understand the vegetative phase, the reproductive phase, the senescent phase. Easily you can distinguish children because of their short lifespan. But for perennial, it is not easily definable, the different phases, because they are having a long lifespan. But why this is happening, why you cannot, because they live for many years and they exhibit unusual flowering. Some of the plants will exhibit unusual flowering. What is this unusual flowering? If you observe, one example, let me tell you about bamboo. We have seen bamboo plants, but so far as I myself have not seen so far any bamboo flowers. Flowering bamboo plant I have not seen. Why? Because it will take a very long period, once in its lifetime, like 50 to 100 years. Children, at that time only it will flower. That means only once in its lifetime it produces flower, fruit, and finally after that the plant will die. So this is one example for unusual flowering. Please remember bamboo. Once in its lifetime. After producing flower and fruit, it will die. And one more interesting plant, children, that is Strobilanthus kuntiana. Very important, you have to remember the scientific name, Strobilanthus kuntiana. It is commonly called as Neelakurunji. Some of them who are from Tamil Nadu, Kerala or Karnataka, you can understand very well about Neelakurunji. So this, what is this speciality? Because it will be producing the plants, the flowers once in 12 years. On like nice blue flowers will be seen. It is very attractive to the tourists. They go only to observe this flowers, children. Very attractive, beautiful flowers. And this is about the flowering in plants and when they reach the reproductive phase. What about the animals and human beings? You have learned, children, in the lower classes, in the 8th class, reaching the age of adolescence. Do you remember, children, what is adolescence? Adolescence is nothing but the maturity of the reproductive maturation of the reproductive organs. So maturation of the reproductive organs will be reaching, which we also call the phase as a puberty. Puberty, where the reproductive structures will start maturing. So after reaching the puberty, that means they start, the reproductive organs will mature and start producing gametes. So you can observe many changes. You have learnt also in 10th class about the changes during adolescence that take place, like Adam's apple, the voice box, the Adam's apple, the larynx will be protruded, and in the males, and development of mustache, beard, development of breasts and all in girls, in females. All this you have learnt in class 10. That is about the maturation. That is what we call maturity of the reproductive organs. And coming to the production of the young ones, breeding. That is, we can classify the animals, when do they produce the young ones? Like, are they seasonal or are they continuous breeders? Some of the organisms are seasonal breeders. Like birds and all, if you say, they will be seasonal. They will be giving birth to young ones only seasonally. Whereas some of the organisms are the continuous breeders. That means throughout their sexual maturity, they will be producing young ones. Like you can see the poultry. Poultry farm is a controlled, of course. It is a continuous breeder. It will be producing the eggs continuously. Like bees, rabbit, mice, cattle and all, these are the continuous breeders. Then coming to the how this breeding and all, how actually the reproduction will be helped. What are the conditions during which the hormones, ovulation and all hormones play a very important role in sexual reproduction. Children, if you remember, there is a menstrual cycle in females. What is this menstrual cycle? If you remember anything about the menstrual cycle, it will be the changes in females that will occur every month. And it is not only in human beings, but also in the other placental mammals, which are called as primates like monkeys, humans, and apes. So this menstrual cycle, that's what you have learned as menarche and menopause. The beginning of the menstrual cycle, which will be undergoing certain changes to release the egg. And after that, what happens? If there is a fertilization or if there is no fertilization, what will happen? That and all we'll learn in human reproduction. So, that is a menstrual cycle. Do you understand, children? Menstrual cycle occurs in placental mammals. This cycle consists of menstrual phase, proliferative phase, and secretory phase. And whereas the other animals like non-placental mammals or non-primates like cow, sheep, dog, and all this, these are all will be exhibiting estrous cycle. It consists of a short period of estrus or heat period. Next, after this menstrual cycle, we know that menstrual menarche, menopause. So, end of the menstrual cycle, we call it as end of the reproductive phase in females. Why it is menopause? Why it is reaching to menopause? That we'll learn again in human reproduction. So once the end of the reproductive phase takes place, it will enter into senescent phase. That is what we know about the old age. Then, next is we are talking about sexual reproduction. Let us say what are the events that take place during sexual reproduction. That is, we can classify, we can divide what is the main basic event that takes place as fertilization. Children, you all know about fertilization. It is nothing but fusion of the male and female gametes. So for fertilization, if you take as a main process, there are some events before fertilization and after fertilization. So the events that take place before fertilization, we call it as a pre-fertilization event, and the events that take place after fertilization, we call it as a post-fertilization event. Now if you go to the process, pre-fertilization events, there are two steps will be taking place here. One is a gametogenesis and the other is a gamete transfer. So what is genesis? Genesis means formation. What is formed here? Gametogenesis, formation of gametes. The male will be producing the male gametes and the female will be producing the female gametes. So, male and female gametes will be formed during gametogenesis. So, here the organisms, children, you can say meiosis. What is here you should know about meiosis. What is meiosis, children? You have learnt in 11th class, it is reduction, division. In which type of cells it will take place? It takes place in diploid cells. If you remember haploid and diploid, N is represented as haploid, means only single set of chromosomes. When there are paired chromosomes are there, two sets of chromosomes, suppose for example if you take humans, the 23 and 23 pairs. 23 is N and 23 pairs are considered as 2N. So organisms may be haploid or may be diploid. But whatever be the ploidy of the organisms, the gametes should be only haploid. So coming to the, before going to the formation of the gametes, let us see what is the structure of the, let us know about what is structure of gametes. See in this picture, children, you can see there are the A, B, C are given. Here the first one, A, if you observe, it is an algae that is cladophora. Cladophora. If you observe these two are the gametes. The gametes, do you find any difference, children? No. That is, they are both are similar, so we call them as isogametes. So homogametes or isogametes. And the second one, if you see the B diagram and C diagram, you can see very large gamete and very, very small, tiny gamete beside that. And in C also you can see one large gamete egg and the other are very small, thin, hairy structures which are the male gametes. So B and C, B is found in one of the another type of algae, that is fucus, and C is the gametes formed in human beings. So in these two, B and C, you are seeing the gametes are different. Male and female gametes are different. So they are called heterogametes or anisogametes. So next, this is about the structure of gametes. Coming to the next part, children, that is sexuality in organisms. What is the meaning of sexuality in organisms? So we are talking about male and female organisms are involved. Male will be producing male gametes and the female will be producing female gametes. So where are the male and female organs are located? Depending on that, that is only gives you the information about the sexuality in organisms. Children, you know, you have learnt about in 11th class unisexual, bisexual and hermaphrodite. These three terms you have learnt in 11th. So what is the meaning of unisexual? That means they will have either male organ or the female organ. Then they are called as unisexual. Suppose you take a flower. The flower, the reproductive organs are, the male organs are stamen and the female organ is pistil. If the flower is having only stamens, what do you call the flower? Is it unisexual or bisexual? Definitely it is unisexual and the flowers are called staminate. Staminate flowers. If the flower is having only pistil, no stamen is there, then we call the flower as pistillate flower. So the flowers are here unisexual. So what is a bisexual? Children, you know, you have learnt the bisexual flowers in families. You have learnt Solanaceae, Fabaceae and all that there. You have seen the bisexual flower. So bisexual flowers means what is that? In the diagram you are seeing in the E part, E, that is the sweet potato is given. Of course, you have seen the hibiscus also, you have seen the datura also, you have seen the petunia alba also. So in that you are seeing the bisexual flower. Bisexual means they are having both stamen and pistil. Both the organs are present in the same flower. That's why we call it as bisexual flower. Whereas, children, you can see in the animals here, in the earthworm, see the picture A, earthworm, you are seeing the testis and ovary. In animals, we call the male organ as testis and the female organ as ovary. And if you are observing the earthworm, it is having both the organs in the same animal. There's a testis is there and as well as ovary. So what do you call this type of animals? You should not call them normally as bisexual. We call it as a hermaphrodite. Means both the sexes are present in the same organism. Coming to the cockroach, you have learnt 11th class children. Cockroach, you can see, you can differentiate male and female cockroaches. That exhibits a sexual dimorphism also. So, male is having the only testis and the female is having only ovaries. That's why they are called unisexual. Earthworm is a bisexual example and the cockroach is unisexual. And there is another important and interesting terms like monoecious and dioecious. This also you have learned, children, in 11th class. What is a monoecious plant? You are seeing in the C here, there is a oogonium. C diagram you observe, children. C diagram is about khara. It is a monoecious plant. What is a monoecious plant? You are seeing there are two types of flowers. One is having antheridium, which is a male sex organ. The other flower is having oogonium, which is a female sex organ. Both the flowers are separate, different. But where are they present? Are they present on different plants? No, they are present on the same plant. That is why they are called as monoecious plants. Monoecious plant. Example you can also find in the higher plants like cucurbit and coconut. Both the two types of flowers will be there, but both the flowers are present in the same plant. That is called monoecious. Whereas you observe the D part, children, that is dioecious plant of Markhantia. Do you remember, children, Markhantia you have learnt in 11th class? The Markhantia is having two different thalli, male thallus and female thallus. Male thallus is having antheridiophore, whereas the female thallus is having archegoniophore. So what do you understand by this plant? There are two different flowers, like male flower and female flower, on two different plants. That is why it is called a dioecious plant. The plant which is having the male and female flowers occur in different plants. Example, other higher plants are papaya and date palm. One example I will tell you, children. You can see for the dioecious very best example. In one of the house, suppose in my house there is a papaya plant, and in your house also there is a papaya plant. My house the papaya plant is giving fruits, but in your house the papaya plant is not giving fruits. So what is the reason? Never it gives fruits, but continuously I will be getting the fruits in my papaya plant. That means which part is there in my plant? Only the female flowers are there. It is a female plant. Whereas you are having in your house it is a male plant. That's why, that means the ovary is there and the pollination is taking place and the fruit formation is there only in the female. So that is called about dioecious plants. So, do you understand what is the difference between monoecious and dioecious, children? Monoecious is plants may have both male and female flowers on them. Why it is mentioned here as imperfect? Means because it is having either stamen or pistil. Then dioecious, when some plants have male flowers and the other plants have female flowers. They are called as dioecious plants. So that's about monoecious and dioecious and unisexual and bisexual or hermaphrodite in animals. And coming to the next part of this, we should know in the gametogenesis is cell division during gamete formation. I already told you, children, about, you have learned three types of life cycles in plants: haplontic, diplontic and haplodiplontic. So here what happens, if the parent is haploid, it will be producing the gametes only by mitosis. If the parent is diploid, it will produce the gametes by meiosis. Do you understand, children? Why this meiosis should take place? You may get a doubt in diploid organisms, madam, why this meiosis should take place? Because the gametes should be always haploid. So meiosis, where does the meiosis take place? Only in the reproductive cells. So the reproductive cells which are undergoing meiosis are called as meiocytes. M-E-I-O-C-Y-T-E-S, meiocytes. You should remember the term meiocyte, very important. One more question, we may get this. So meiocytes, which are also called as gamete mother cells, where they undergo reduction, division or meiosis. Examples also are given. Children, please see in the whereas the haploid organisms, they produce gametes by mitotic division like algae, fungi and bryophytes, whereas pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms and most of the animals and human beings are diploid, so they produce by gametes by meiotic division. So, is it clear, children? So, you understood about what is the cell division during meiosis. It is very, very important. You should remember even in the coming next topics, so sexual reproduction in flowering plants as well as human reproduction. You should remember this aspect. Then coming to the next part of this is the gamete transfer. What the gamete transfer, why it is required? Because for fertilization, the gametes are to be transferred. Either male and female gamete to reach and they have to fuse. The male gamete should reach the female gamete and then the fusion, that is fertilization, should take place. So how does the transfer of gamete take place? You have learnt in 11th class about pollination. Do you remember, children? Pollination. That means the transfer of pollen grains from stamen to stigma. Why the pollen grains are transferred? Because the pollen grain contains male gamete. So the pollen grain when falls on the stigma, you know the next process. It forms a pollen tube and carries the male gametes, and the male gametes will be released into the ovule, into the embryo sac to reach the egg. So the pollination can be, how can it be done? Either by wind or by agents of pollination, either by wind or water or by animals. It will have to be transmitted. And in here, if you observe, the gametes are transferred. Some of the medium is required, either wind or water or by animals. It has to be transferred. And you see that generally the male gametes are produced in large number. Pollen grains. You know that pollen grains are so many and all, whereas the egg is only one inside the ovule. So each ovule is having a single egg, whereas many pollen grains are being formed by the same flower. Why is it so? Because generally the male gametes are motile, whereas the female gamete is non-motile. You see the previous diagram, picture, children, there you can see the male gametes are motile in humans and all. You can see they are small and motile, whereas the female gamete is large. You have seen the anisogametes, where the smaller male gametes will be motile and they will be reaching to the female gamete. And why they are produced in large number? To compensate the loss. What is the loss, children? What happens? Why the loss will be there? During the transport, we learned that they can be carried either by wind or water. So while getting transported, many of them may not be reaching the correct flower stigma, or may not be reaching at all the flower, or maybe dying, or maybe eaten by some other organisms. So that is, there should be definitely, to compensate the loss during the transport, they produce the male gametes in a large number. Then, after this gamete transfer, next is about the fertilization. The fertilization is also, the other term is known as syngamy. What is syngamy or fertilization? Now you have seen that the gametes are transferred and now they have to fuse. What is being fused here, children? The nucleus of the male gamete will be fusing with the nucleus of the female gamete. And this fusion, what is the result of this fusion? It is forming zygote. So, the fertilization can be of two types. One is internal fertilization and the other is external fertilization. What do you mean by internal fertilization? It takes place within the female body. External fertilization will take place outside the female body. So, which you think will be more advantageous, children? Definitely internal fertilization. Why internal fertilization? Because there is a security, it is secured, and more chances of survival. You can see in this table, the chances of survival of offspring are more. Whereas in external fertilization, the chances of survival is very less. That is why in internal fertilization, less number of eggs are formed. Whereas external fertilization, like frog, fish and all, you can see, they produce large number of eggs. So, this is about internal fertilization and external fertilization. So, external fertilization definitely a disadvantage because it will be eaten by even by the predators. Predators may eat away the eggs, gametes, or even the younger stage, the zygotes can be eaten away, or the larvae can be eaten away, whatever it is. External fertilization is definitely disadvantage. Further, that is the reason why the eggs or the sperms will be produced in a large number, because there is a threat. A large number of eggs. Chances of survival of offspring are very less because of the predators. So that's all about the fertilization. Children, suppose if the fertilization does not take place, what happens if syngamy does not take place in any of the organisms? For this, you should know, not all organisms. In some of the organisms, what happens, there is without fertilization, the young ones can be developed, which is called as parthenogenesis. This example we can take in the honeybees, children. Honeybees are the best example, like honeybees, rotifers, lizards, birds like turkey birds and all. Here the young ones are developed without fertilization. That process is called parthenogenesis. Let us take the example of honeybee. Honeybees, children, the females are diploid. They are having 32 chromosomes, 2n, whereas the males are haploid. Here you can easily understand about haplodiplontic life cycle. So, the female, whenever I told you already, the gametes should be in haploid number. That is why the formation of gametes involves meiosis. So, the female which is having 32 chromosomes will undergo, the gamete mother cells undergo meiosis and form two gametes which containing 16 chromosomes each. And the males, what type of division will take place in male? Because it's haploid, no meiosis will take place. Only by mitosis it will produce the gametes. And these gametes are carrying only 16 chromosomes. So this 16 from male gamete and the 16 from the female gamete will fuse to form 32. If 32 comes, they're diploid, then it is female. And if suppose the gametes which are formed by the female are not fertilized, then what happens? The gametes will directly develop into males without fertilization. That is what we call it as parthenogenesis. The gametes, workers and queens, the females produce from fertilized eggs because they are diploid, whereas the drones or the males produce through parthenogenesis, which are haploid. This you should remember. Even in sex determination also, you will be learning about haplodiplontic life cycle. Then coming to the, now what we got, children, we have fertilization we have completed. Now coming to the post-fertilization events. Already fertilization is done. And what is formed because of fertilization? The zygote. Zygote, children, if you take a zygote, is a very, very, very important link. What is it linking between the previous generation and the next generation? It ensures the continuity of species from one generation to the next generation. So, this zygote has to develop. The development of zygote, it divides by mitosis and develop into embryo. And embryo continuously grows and develops into young one. Cell differentiation in zygote, in embryo, what happens, children? The cells will differentiate. Like, you know that triploblastic, diploblastic, like whatever cells are formed, they will be differentiating into ectoderm, endoderm, mesoderm. Like, you know, in meristematic tissue, like plants, they will be differentiating. The tissues will be differentiating. Whereas here, the zygote divides by mitosis and develop into embryo. Embryo divides further and forms cells, and which will be differentiating into different tissues and organs. And finally, the young one will be developed. So once the development is completed, embryogenesis is done, the young one has to be released. So release of the young one, depending on that, what type of young ones are being produced. That is, the young ones can be released in the form of eggs or in the form of fully developed ones. You have learnt about, children, oviparous and viviparous. What is oviparous? Oviparous is where the young ones are released in the form of eggs, egg laying. The organisms will produce eggs, and which are protected by calcareous shell. Viviparous, children, they give birth to the fully developed young ones. So, the ovipary and viviparous, again, which will be more advantageous? Definitely viviparous. Because the young ones, the development, everything is done and protected inside the female body. Whereas oviparous, again, though they are protected by shell, a calcareous shell, they will be easily exposed to the predators. So again, there is a threat, and that is why they produce again, the eggs are laid in large number comparatively to the viviparous animals. So, this is about in animals. Coming to the flowers. Flowers, what happens in the flowering plants? The zygote is developed. Where does the zygote develop, children? The plant is having the female reproductive part is having the pistil. Pistil is having the three parts, style, stigma and ovary. Inside the ovary there is ovule. Inside the ovule there is an embryo sac where the zygote is being formed inside. And once the zygote is formed, what happens? What are the post-fertilization events in the plants? Once the zygote is formed, it will be the sepals, petals and stamens all will fall off because there is no necessity for this. And then some of the plants, you can see in the fruits, when the fruit is formed, it will be still having the sepals. Like brinjal, you can see the green ones, and even tomatoes, you can see the sepals. And then zygote will be developing into embryo, and the ovule developing into seed, ovary develops into fruit, and the wall, it develops an outer wall in the ovary as known as pericarp. And finally, the seed will germinate under favorable conditions and produce the new plant. Is it clear, children? I hope you understood. Anywhere like meiocytes, by meiosis or parthenogenesis, anything diploid and haploid, if you can't understand, if you have any doubt, please put a question. And children, one more thing is the table 1.1. Table 1.1, you can see name of the organism is given, chromosome number is given, chromosome number in meiocyte and chromosome number in gamete. You can see here and you can write the answer easily. Human beings are having 46 in the meiocyte because it is 2n. And when it is forming a gamete, it will be having only 23. Housefly, it is having 2n, 12. What could be the chromosome number in gamete? It should be half because it is diploid. It should undergo meiosis and form 6 chromosomes. In rat, you can see you are not given the here, but it is given the gamete number is given, so you have to mention the chromosome number. 21 is haploid, children. What will be the diploid? Into 2. So it will be 42. Like that, you try to complete the table and write it in your notebook, children. And whatever definitions and differences and all I am giving, I have given you, telling you here, please note down in your notebook. So that notes you have to prepare. And anywhere any doubts of it, because it is already, you have learnt about this, all the fundamental aspects of this. And we have not gone to any of the detailed study, like the next chapter we'll be learning. So this is all the common known concepts only. Here children, monoecious and dioecious, very, very important. Very frequently they ask in exam. And another is, why the male gametes are produced in large number. That is very important. And next is meiocyte. Meiocyte is very important. So these are certain things where you have to remember it, and whatever aspects I have given you as the definitions and all that through this video, through the slides, please note down, please write it, and once again you compare with your textbook lesson chapter also, and then you combine both and prepare your notes, children. Hope you understood this part. And you please go ahead with this, and tomorrow we'll be meeting again with the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. I'll give you some assignments on this particular topic also. Please answer those questions in your homework side of the notebook. I hope you all have the notebooks with you. Already I think I told you, like in 11th class you follow this. Whatever notebook you have, you start with that and you continue writing part. Thank you, children.